feel really prepared the students?
I was going to come in from a different perspective, just thinking about the parents at the forefront. So as soon as they came in with that bulletin board display, really helped set the tone for a positive conference.
Yeah.
They came in and they knew what they were expecting, and they were excited to go in and see the students' work and their portfolios and really hear how their students had learned throughout the term.
Which was interesting too, because I think that I had some feedback prior to the conference from one of my parents that actually didn't want to come.
I know.
And they had written a note to me saying that we've done student-led conference before. We're not really interested in coming. Can we set up a time to meet? Mm-hmm. And so I wrote back to them and just explained, you know, maybe this is going to be a different experience for you this time. And I think that hit them as soon as they walked in the front entrance. They realized that, you know, there was some structure there.
Yeah.
And when they came into the room, their child was very structured with where he was going with it. And so it made the experience really positive for them. And they walked out feeling like they were engaged in the process, which is important, specifically for intermediate.
And I know that, you know, through our staff meetings, we've been talking a lot about
Yes.
making sure that reflection is happening with the students throughout the term. So when student-led conferencing comes around, it's not as if, boom, all of a sudden they are being forced to reflect. I mean, you have that reflection built into your programming, right?
Absolutely.
That was something that came up in my class as well. Some of the kids were reflecting about how it happens just unconsciously, you know, even during community circle. We're reflecting, and that's part of our day. It's embedded in what we do on an ongoing basis, and it doesn't have to be on a sticky, it doesn't have to be on a prescribed worksheet or something that they're doing. It's just, it could be oral, that's reflecting.
Yeah.
What we did was, when we were going over our reflections, we went through as a class, we made a list of things that we might want to look at when we're looking for our strengths and what our challenges might have been to help set our goals. And they really had to go back and look through all of their work to make sure that they weren't going to say, okay, spelling. I'm just going to put spelling in here. They had to provide proof, and they had to be accountable.
What about spelling?
For their, and if spelling wasn't an issue, well, then you can't use that as your one wish. Your spelling was fine. We have to go back and we have to actually look through our work to see what we do need to actually work on in order to set those realistic goals.
Which is like an incredible process, because I think that when you think about student-led conference as, you know, giving them skills for future learning, I think, you know, the student-led conference actually does that. Like, we're jumping into exposition, and they need to be able to support their opinion. And to be able to take them through that process of, you know what, show me your argument and show me the evidence from your own work. Like, that was a huge process in intermediate.
As teachers, we were expected to provide descriptive feedback, and this is their opportunity to provide themselves with descriptive feedback.
That's right.
And for our ELL students, it's a great way to develop their communication skills and really develop their oral language and engage their conversation, engage their parents in conversation. So it was great to develop
Actually, there were a couple people that commented on that. I heard parents mentioning, you know, I can see how my son is going to use this experience in the workforce later on in life. You know, they were actually doing like a presentation to me, you know, and just the pride that one parent said, I won't be able to leave the room because my chest is so big, I'm so full of pride, you know, I won't make it through the doorway.
It's the accountability and that metacognitive piece. So thinking about their thinking, being able to articulate that, and then writing down what their next steps are going to be, and then following through with that.
When you were listening in on some of the conversations and the conferences unfolding in your classrooms, were there things that you heard the students describing that made you think, you know, I might have to revisit that again in my teaching? Because I think that student-led conferences actually provides a formative assessment piece for ourselves.
Yeah.
I know in my classroom, I reflect a lot on even my own teaching, but I don't just reflect, and it's not just internal, but I voice it with my students. So, you know, if I think that perhaps, you know, I missed a step in scaffolding or in explaining something, my students are at a stage in the game where they could understand that I can be reflective also, so modeling our own self-reflection out loud to the students.
Yeah, and willing to learn from it and do things differently maybe the next time. You know, that's modeling that you're the lifelong learner too.
I mean, the shift between, you know, developing rubrics with our students to now, you know, developing or backwards design, thinking about the overall expectations and putting that into student-friendly language, and then developing the learning intention and success criteria with our students. Really helps them be able to articulate that process and to have that posted up in the classroom so that students can refer to it, and us as teachers going back to the success criteria saying, okay, what are we learning? okay, what is our success criteria, and there's a consistency there.
That's why I found it really helpful when we were doing that activity before school started this year, where we were looking at long-range plans.
Yes.
And we
That's
said,
right.
where do I hope to be at the end of term one? I mean, that really sets it up for success. Here's where I need my students to be so that their portfolios are rich, showing the process and those products. And and then it's just mapping it backwards. So I think the more transparent we can be about that planning with our students, then they see that we're, getting closer to achieving that goal altogether too.
And as you said, the more transparent we are with our students, the better they are able to understand what their target is or their
That's
goal
right.
is for that term, and they're able to relay that in their own language to the parent.
Yes.
Therefore, demystifying that
Yeah.
marking process or what happens at school, and everybody understands what the goal is.